Gentlemen, we have called you together to inform you that we are going to overthrow the United States government. Do you still think that jet fuel brought down the World Trade Center? Does anybody else see a problem here? If the government has nothing to hide, why are they so afraid to answer a few questions? This story does not add up.
You see this? Did you know that during Prohibition times this was illegal? I could have been put in jail for drinking a beer. So you tell me, who's to judge what's right or wrong in a moral absolute when society can't make up its own fucking mind? All right, you know what? You're right. You know, I am the fucking petty criminal. I am the bad guy. Let me tell you something. I am nothing compared to those motherfuckers in Washington, all right? Or Enron, or the Wall Street and banking fucks that sold us the fuck out, right? And tell me about war, the oil companies, you know, Halliburton, big tobacco. Shit, that is evil in the extreme. And these guys are perfectly legal? I mean, what the fuck is that about? I mean, which is more evil? The perpetrators, the pushers of the McCancer burger, or that petty criminal who walks through the door with a gun and takes the money out of cash register? I mean, baby, come on, the whole system is a house of cards. And it's crashing down around us as we speak. I'm gonna tell you something. When this country does become that bad Mad Max movie, the bottom, we're gonna have an edge, right? Some of us, we gravitate towards this subterranean, criminal underbelly as a natural habitat. And some of us like to live in filth because it's so much more like life than that clean, neat, tidy, nothing bullshit mediocrity out there.
Our enemies are innovative and resourceful, and so are we. They never stop thinking about new ways to harm our country and our people, and neither do we.
And neither do we. And neither do we. And neither do we.
Back in December 2005, do you remember there was a debate in Chicago between John Yoo and the Notre Dame professor Doug Kessel? If you remember this, it's because you heard this famous audio from that.
If the president deems that he's got to torture somebody, including by crushing the testicles of the person's child, there is no law that can stop that. No treaty. And also no law by Congress. That's what you wrote in the August 2002 memo. I think it depends on why the president thinks he needs to do that.
Depends, he said. Doing that to someone's child might be totally kosher. Depends on the motivation of the President of the United States in wanting to do it. That is the lawyer the Bush administration called on to write legal opinions that said it wasn't illegal to torture anymore. In the Justice Department report on what John Yoo did, he's also quoted as saying this under questioning. Question: what about ordering a village of resistance to be massacred? Is that a power that the president could legally? Answer from John Yoo: yeah, although let me say this. So certainly that would fall within the commander-in-chief's power over tactical decisions. Question: to order a village of civilians to be exterminated? Answer from John Yoo: sure, why not? Law schma, I'm John Yoo, and whatever you want me to okay, I'll okay. Massacring villages full of civilians? Crushing the testicles of a child in front of his parents to get the parents to talk? Yeah, that's America. John Yoo and Jay Bybee, who was John Yoo's boss and is now a federal judge, are basically home free now. This Justice Department report says they shouldn't be disbarred or have any other action taken against them for writing and signing off on these.
Our enemies are innovative and resourceful, and so are we. They never stop thinking about new ways to harm our country and our people, and neither do we.
Gentlemen, we have called you together to inform you that we are going to overthrow the United States government. Do you still think that jet fuel brought down the World Trade Center? Does anybody else see a problem here? If the government has nothing to hide, why are they so afraid to answer a few questions? This story does not add up.
Listen to your pain. With more on these incredibly dangerous developments, we're going to go to Stuart Rhodes. He's a constitutional lawyer who won awards at Yale for his reports and papers on the belligerent act and the whole enemy combatant question. In fact, the paper was titled Solving the Puzzle of Enemy Combatant Status back in 2004. He also, of course, worked in Congress for Ron Paul, and he's the founder of Oath Keepers. He's an Army paratrooper veteran himself. And again, I saw mainstream articles last night and this morning saying that the bill passed, the amendment passed, and I rarely get caught up in something, but then later I learned it didn't pass. It was just that it's passed out of committee and that they're trying to bring cloture so there can't be a debate on it or a filibuster. We're going to get Stuart to talk about that. And the amendment failed. The amendment failed, but this is just incredible. And if it goes through the Senate, then I guess it'll go on to the president, who claims he's going to veto it. But the president's already declared the power to kill American citizens, as they've already done with the Lockheed in that staged event to set the precedent. They've already said they can secretly arrest people and detain them. He said last year, I don't need this legislation. I'll do it through the executive. So it's a lot of politicking to manipulate the public. As one congressman, Amash, said, this is carefully crafted to mislead the public. A week ago, they would say, oh, this doesn't affect citizens, because one provision says that. But then the other provision says, but it does if we say so, basically. Now, an expert, I mean, you couldn't think of a better one, military guy, constitutional law scholar, won awards for his research on this, worked for Ron Paul, knows Congress, knows all the Byzantine things that are going on. Stuart Rhodes can break this down for us. But there's the latest article. Indefinite detention bill set for final vote Thursday. Senate moves to limit debate on unconstitutional legislation. That's up on Infowars.com, the latest there. But again, last night I heard it passed, got up this morning, read articles, said it passed. That's the mainstream media. I've got to learn to just believe nothing they say. It's so incredible. I remember 4 years ago when NATO attacked the Russian-held area of South Ossetia and Abkhazia. For 2 hours, I was reporting, well, the Russians attacked it. Can't believe they did, because CNN was saying it. Turned out it was NATO attacked. I mean, it's just that even I get caught up in their lies. I mean, it's incredible. It's incredible. Stuart Rhodes, great to have you here with us, my friend.
Thank you, Alex, very much.
Okay, so you wrote the papers on this. You've been an expert on this. You pointed out before we went live here, the belligerent act is really McCain's real holy grail, where if you're just belligerent, you disappear into a black hole. So now they're trying to get it piecemeal. Break this down.
Well, yeah, in the 2010 Belligerent Detention Act, he wanted the language to read that if you commit an act of belligerence and warfare or any other act of terrorism against the United States, then you could be, if you're just accused of that by someone in the executive branch, you could be whisked away into military detention, no grand jury indictment, no trial in front of a jury of your peers, just taken off to Guantanamo. He didn't quite get what he wanted, but what he's doing here is getting what he can. He's attaching this, making this part of the defense appropriations bill, which no one wants to vote against, or they're just, described as being against the troops, and he talked a Democrat, Levin, into proposing it. But really, it's McCain's baby, and this is him getting what he can. What he's going to get out of this bill, if it passes, is Section 1031. The first part of it does apply to U.S. citizens, because it says that any person, a covered person under this action, this section is any person who is accused of participating in 9/11 or aiding those who did it, or is accused of being part of al-Qaeda or an allied group or supporting one of those organizations. And the mere accusation alone by the executive branch or someone in the Department of Defense would place you under military jurisdiction and then give the president the option of detaining you indefinitely, sending you off to Guantanamo. It expressly states that a person who is under that first section can be, one, detained under the laws of war without trial until the end of the hostilities authorized by the authorization for use of military force.
And the wars never end. We're always under an endless emergency. And those, before you continue, that say, oh, well, let us get tough. Why even have America then? Because America is about due process and is about checks and balances. So you can't stage things. So people get a day in court. I mean, this idea that due process is bad, all these people that say that, well, they should just move to another country. If they don't like due process, they should move to North Korea.
Yeah, if you don't want to live under the Bill of Rights and Article 3 of the Treason Clause, which is what this directly violates, then please do move to North Korea or China. So it states you can be detained indefinitely for the duration of the war on terror, which could be forever, or number 2, trial under Chapter 47A of Title 10 U.S. Code, which is the UCMJ as amended by the Military Commissions Act. And what that means is military tribunal, military commission. And it also has a section 1036. Some people say, well, you know, you get a right to challenge your determination. Well, it mandates in Section 1036 that if you challenge your determination, it will be a military judge that shall preside at proceedings for the determination of status of an unprivileged enemy belligerent. And it also states that you will get, if you want one, a military lawyer, not a civilian lawyer, only a military lawyer. So the point is that they're treating you, the American people, precisely the same as if you were an Iraqi or someone in Afghanistan in an occupied country. They're going to come into your house once they decided that you're a bad guy, or just that they don't want to call you a bad guy, say they don't like Alex Jones's speech. And so they designate him an enemy combatant and accuse him of aiding al-Qaeda in some way. That before you get a trial, before anything else happens, they come to your door, middle of the night, kick your door in, guys in black body armor come in, put a machine gun to your face and your children, and whisk you away to Guantanamo.
Well, wait, Stuart, it's worse than that, though, because we already have the MIAC and Homeland Security reports. We got a new one yesterday where the feds are telling all local police that State Rep Charles Key in Oklahoma, a great guy, and the victims' families of Oklahoma City who are investigating what happened there, they are listed as domestic terrorists. Actually, it says domestic terrorism section. It lists them, and even mainline libertarian websites. We've already seen Ron Paul having American flags. So the point is, they're already teaching the police and military this. They're already saying the returning veteran's the #1 enemy. You know, they sell it on it's al-Qaeda.
Oh, I know, of course, but point is like I said, he couldn't get what he really wants. He wants that wide open definition that includes or other acts of terrorism. But what he can get, and what he's getting so far, the Udall amendment yesterday to strike this provision was defeated. What he's getting so far is a definition that's supposedly narrow, that only applies to al-Qaeda or those affiliated. And
the same al-Qaeda they've put in control of areas like North Africa and Libya and are moving over to Syria. I mean, this all rings hollow when it turns out the globalists are running al-Qaeda.
What they're going to do, Alex, is what they'll do is they'll pass this bill like it reads now, and then later on, say the next appropriations bill for the Defense Department next year, they'll insert a very vanilla amendment that says, insert at the end of this section, or other acts of terrorism. And there you go. It'll be a wide open sweeping in of anybody accused of any act of terrorism. But even right now, all they have to do, this is the point, you won't get a jury trial, you won't get a grand jury indictment. They can just accuse you of aiding al-Qaeda through some means, for some nefarious means, and then whisk you away to Guantanamo. And when you want to challenge it, it'll be a military judge, handpicked by Obama, who will determine whether or not you are justified in being held. It won't be a jury.
But what about the sections dealing with using the military domestically? We know for decades they've been trying to do this, and we see Marines running checkpoints in California and Alabama, and Army checkpoints in Tennessee, TSA now at checkpoints around the country. I mean, they're already doing this, and they're already killing U.S. citizens abroad.
Well, that's the other part of it. That's the other part of it, is that the backdrop to this is that the Supreme Court in 2004, in the Hamdi decision, gutted the Bill of Rights. It's a horrible decision. I don't know why liberals keep saying it's some kind of victory for the Bill of Rights. It was nothing of the sort. I mean, even Judge Napolitano got it wrong last night in his interview with Rand Paul. You know, God bless him, but he missed it on this one. In the Hamdi case, Justice O'Connor, for the majority, made some flowery speech about how the power of the executive branch is not limited, but she went ahead and also said there's nothing in the Constitution that prevents the U.S. government from detaining one of its own citizens as an unlawful combatant. And then she said, but they have a right to challenge their determination, and they have the right to counsel. And in that decision, the only thing the liberals were arguing against back then was that Congress had not given authorization. Well, the Supreme Court ruled in the Hamdi case that Congress had given authorization in the 2001 authorization for use of military force.